If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
Tommy, how you doing today?
All is good. We're 10-3, and I'm feeling good about that. So excited. It was a really tough game. What a crazy game in so many ways, but that's the NFL. And man, I've been on the other side coming back from a lot of those. I was happy we were ahead, and then we found a way to win. So one of the most dramatic endings to my career, as someone mentioned, because I was thinking after the game, had I ever done something like that? Been in a game where we've thrown a touchdown to end the game in overtime, and there was only one other time in Miami, and I think 03 or 04, maybe it was 03. I hit Troy Brown on a deep post, and it was a walk-off. So it's kind of rare. You know, we don't have those celebrations like they do in baseball, but you kind of lose your mind for a little bit. You know, but running down that field going, oh my God, it's over, it's over. So that was really, really fun.
Is there anything quite like that feeling?
It's almost, I mean, I guess if you were a golfer, you know, like a hole out for eagle, you know, or a 50-foot putt, you know, something that when you're trying to do it, yeah, of course you're trying to do it. But at the same time, you know, it doesn't just happen like that. So it's kind of, you know, you don't think you're going to hit like a little short under route like that and he's going to go 60. We called the play to get a first down, and it turned into, you know, it looks like they blew the coverage, and a couple guys went Mike, and we hit it, and their BP went. And I was watching them, and I saw their linebacker chasing them, and in my mind I'm going, run BP, run, you know. And it's cool because you do see that in baseball a lot, you know, and you see the guy hit the grand slam to end the game, or, you know, whatever, a homer in the extra innings, and it's kind of fun to celebrate that way, just knowing that once that ball goes in, it's game's over. So that was pretty cool. We had a chance to do it in the Super Bowl against Atlanta, and I threw the pass to Martellus. He got the PI, but I always thought, man, I wish I'd have connected on that one, because that would have been a pretty unreal way to win the game. So I should have made a better throw on that day. I'm glad I didn't make a crappy throw on the one to BP yesterday, though.
Tom, yesterday was 12-12 day, and we know because you told us last week how tormented you are by perfection. Well, you're up with a game that seems like it's in the bag, and then they outscore you in the second half 24-3, and things do not look good, and it's getting away from you. Yet you kept your cool and composure, but tell us what it's like when it's getting away from you and it's just steamrolling out of control, it seems, and the momentum's totally gone.
So football is a game of execution, and when you execute well, things go good. You score points, you keep them from scoring points. When you execute poorly, you don't. It's the opposite. And I think what happened was we did such a good job in the first half and in both phases of the game. We get in the second half and we got guys open on third down that I didn't hit. You know, we didn't take advantage of scoring opportunities that we got. And they did. And that's what happens. It's not like, you know, you go and you flip a switch and turn the off switch on at halftime. It's a throw, or it's a third down completion, or it's something like that. So it's not like exactly what they did in the first half is what we did in the second half. And when you play good teams, those are the things that happen. And this is, you know, one of the top defenses in the league we're facing. It's got a very explosive offense. They got good receivers. They got a quarterback that can run. Well, you didn't see any of that in the first half. We basically did what we wanted, but you see all of that in the second half. So, you know, you don't measure them after halftime, and, you know, you got to play the full 60 minutes, and we get to the full 60 minutes, and our defense did a hell of a job, you know, keeping it to a field goal there at the end of regulation to send it to overtime 27-27. And they did a great job because we lost the coin flip. And then, you know, BP makes a hell of a play to end the game. So to go 96 or 94 yards on the last drive, that was a great feel. And you know, we got to learn from it, and we got to learn about our execution, and you know, we got still a lot of football left to be played. So I'm glad we're 10-3. Obviously, I think all the teams this year that are kind of putting themselves in a position to make the playoffs, you know, these are all huge games and huge moments to learn from. And, you know, we're doing the same as everybody else. And we're going to try to get better from it and see, you know, if we can go win a division championship this next Sunday night.
Against the Saints. We often talk on this show about golf. You can be in the middle of a round of golf and hate golf. I hate this game. I'm never playing again. Get me off the course.
That's me. That's me.
Do you ever hate football during the middle of the game and say, what am I doing out here?
I never have thought that. I think there's moments, not in football games where you think that, but there's definitely moments where you think, wow, this is a grind. This is a real grind. It's more about, because golf is so, especially as a hobby, it's such an easy thing to do. It's very, not very taxing. Mentally it's a little frustrating, but it's not physically taxing. I think the correlation is a marathon. There's probably a lot of people in a marathon that about mile 16 or 17 go, what the hell did I sign up for? Why did I do this? Because it's not the first 5 miles or the first 10 miles. It's after you've kind of depleted all your energy stores. You run past all the people at the start, and you're not quite at the finish line. And then finally you get to the finish line and you're elated that you made it, because there's so much to be gained from that experience because you dug really deep. And then probably after the marathon, as my sisters have told me too, because they've run a few, I've never done it, but my sisters said, I am never running another marathon ever again. And then certainly a month later, after the soreness of their body is worn off, they go, God, that would be so fun to do it again. It was so exhilarating. So, football has so many peaks and valleys, and especially over the course of a long season, mostly peaks for me because I really do love it. And, even after games like yesterday, I appreciate it more and more. It's certainly a very challenging game. The challenging part is the coordination of so many different people. I may have 22 years of experience, but our team doesn't have 22 years of experience together. We have, things change so quickly in a game. You're dependent on one thing and it changes, and you got to adapt and adjust. And it's hard to do if, you haven't been together for a long time. So we're still learning, we're still growing. And it's fun to learn and grow when you win. It sucks when you lose, but, we got some challenging games ahead. We're going to have to do a great job here down the stretch.
Tom, you broke a couple of records yesterday. 700 touchdowns, and that was the ending of the game, the walk-off. And Mike Evans, and you connected to break the completion record, and you huddled with Mike Evans afterwards. What'd you say to him?
He made a great catch on that. I kind of put the ball up in the air for him. I was getting a little pressure, and I didn't even know at the time. Some of these things that these people, the records, obviously, they're very aware on television because they'll reference them, and obviously they'll have a lot of those things. But in the middle of the game, you're not thinking about any of those things. I don't have one thought about a completion. I don't know how many completions I had, how many yards. It's not till usually after the game where, someone will say, oh, you hit, 27 passes and you threw for 350 yards. I don't know if I hit 220, 320. You're just thinking about the game and the moment. So I did like my scramble yesterday. That was probably the highlight of the day for me. Outside of a few completions, those are the ones that I probably think to myself, wow, that was pretty good. Even for me, that was pretty good.
Goats can run. Goats can really run.
Man, I was running. I was just a slow trot. Believe me, I wish I could run. That's that hasn't been in my forte over the years. Let me say that.
Well, here's what your coach Bruce Arians said about you running after the game.
He sacrificed his body to get that first down. He took a hit.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
When Tom Brady got the ball and start running, apparently he likes a lot.
He don't like it that much, but get your ass on the ground.
So, Tom, you just heard your coach. He wants you out of harm's way. You going to follow that?
That doesn't even sound like Coach. I think that's the first time I've ever heard him swear. He's right. He's right. I agree with BA. Get my ass on the ground. That's what I deserve. That's where I should be. They're trying to put me on the ground pretty tough, and they took some good shots yesterday. So I think my days of running, they'll be only if necessary at this point going forward.
Vin Scully, 67 years. He was the voice of baseball with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You've heard him on the World Series. He is synonymous with the sport of baseball, but he also was there all those 40 years ago as we celebrate the anniversary of the catch at Candlestick Park. And here's how Mr. Scully called that on CBS TV.
Tom Landry is 6 yards away from his 6th Super Bowl. And And, of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
The right side, possibly.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Dwight Clark! It's a madhouse at Candlestick with 51 seconds left. Dwight Clark is 6'4". He stands about 10 feet tall in this crowd's estimation.
Vin, thanks for joining us. So poetic. 40 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, it's hard for me to realize until I just celebrated my 94th birthday. So now I realize the 40 isn't that bad at all.
I get goosebumps still hearing that. And just what an amazing moment, too, in so many people's life, obviously, and all the 49er fans' life and the 49er players. But it's amazing. How many times do you think you've heard that call over the years that people have talked about for so long?
Yeah, I still get goosebumps for the moment, you know. The thing about that game that made it so great, it was literally and figuratively, it was, what would you call it, seesaw at least. In other words, the Niners scored, then Dallas got a field goal, Dallas scored, so it was 10-7 Dallas. Then the Niners moved up and scored, and it went back and forth. And even at the end, if I remember, there was something like 50 seconds left, and it was still a chance for Danny White and the Cowboys. But yeah, it's a game that left a great impression on me. And I remember getting on the airplane, flying back to Los Angeles, and I put my head back on that chair and I thought about it, and I figured I will never see a better game than that one. And so that was my last game doing football.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Incredible.
a good one to quit on.
That's pretty good. We all wish we could end it that way.
Yeah, it was a great way to end a portion of the career.
Yeah.
And there was a 4-year-old young boy who was sitting in Candlestick Park that day with his father. Tom Brady Sr. took a 4-year-old Tom Brady to that game. Tom, what do you remember of that game? And how many times have you heard that tape of Vin call the catch all these years later?
Yeah, quite a few. And that was one of the great moments in my life. And there's not many memories, you know, when you think back to your early childhood that you can remember so vividly. And I certainly did. And it left a big imprint. I fell in love, you know, when you fall in love with football and it's in your DNA like that, you know, my parents somehow got us tickets to that game, and became season ticket holders after that. And as a 4-year-old kid sitting in the stands, I was actually in the opposite end zone. And, you know, I told a story earlier that, you know, I wanted one of those foam fingers that with the 49ers, the number one. And my parents always said I was crying the whole first half because they wouldn't get me one. Because I said everyone kept holding them up. And, you know, the game ended up as we just heard that, you know, everyone jumped up out of their seat. I couldn't see anything at that point, and I was 4, but I did have the foam finger. So I was very happy. Well, somebody about 5 years ago in the mail, randomly, I got a red 49er foam finger. So I kind of swore off the 49ers after they skipped over me 6 times in the 2000 draft, and they took another quarterback in the 3rd round. So I kind of, you know, didn't think too highly of them for a long period of time. But after I got that foam finger, I thought, man, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to still, you know, be a part of it. And even when I see the Niners play today, there's still a part of me that, you know, always, you know, roots for them just a little bit. So that was an amazing moment in my life too. So
I was about 8 years old, and we had a big 4-legged radio in the living room. And I used to crawl under the radio and listen to college football. There wasn't much else on the air. And the little loudspeaker was directly above my head. And I would curl up and listen. And the first thing that captivated me was the roar of the crowd. The next time I started to think, boy, I wish I was there. And before I got through one full season, I thought I'd like to be like that broadcaster. And all of that worked out, not with the number one finger, but just 8-year-old heart and a great imagination.
Wow. Incredible.
Tom, how much more do you remember having watched that play 1,000 times and Vin's call than you do actually being there? And how much did that call just leave such an indelible impression that you wanted to be a part of football?
So much, because we were kids growing up in that era where, we went to those games. We talked about the 49er games. It was such a big part of our life because that era and dynasty of 49er football, for all the kids who grew up in the Bay Area, that changed that whole part of Northern California. And, when we went to school, we would be talking about, I'm Joe Montana and you're Dwight Clark, and I'm going to roll right and I'm going to throw it up. And, we're going to recreate the catch and we're going to draw up plays and we're going to name the plays. And because the catch was named, so we're going to call the dagger and the secret weapon. And we're going to, that's how we played on the schoolyard. So, I even thought about that being in Boston for 20 years. It really wasn't a football town like the Red Sox. The Red Sox pretty much dominated Boston, even when I got there. And I tell you, by the time I left 20 years later, it was every bit as much of a football town as it was a baseball town. People root for the winners, and it's good because when people invest their time, they want to invest it in a fun way. So, to win, to be a part of that really stoked my love for the game. And Joe Montana, what he did for me as a young player, looking up to him and our family and our support of the Niners and watching, Roger Craig and Wendell Tyler and Tom Rathman and Freddie Salman and John Taylor and Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lawton, those guys that I see now, I still look at them. I go, wow, they were just, they're just kind of Goliaths in my mind, because
Sure.
At this time in my life, they were the ones that I thought that's who I just really looked up to and admired so much. And I could never imagine that the spot that I'm in today, but just blessed beyond words can even imagine, how many great football memories I've been able to be a part of in my life.
This might be an impossible question, but you now have thrown 700 touchdown passes. So could there possibly be one that gave you more joy than all of the others?
That's a great question. I remember my first one. I remember the one that broke the record for the most touchdowns ever. I'm sure if I saw all of them, I would pick a few out, but
Sure.
The ones probably earlier in my career probably meant the most because I didn't have the confidence that I have today. Today I kind of expect to go out there and play really well, but when I was young, I wasn't sure. Am I capable of doing this? Am I ready? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? So probably some of the Super Bowl, I threw one to David Patten, the 2001 Super Bowl. God rest David's soul. He was a great man too. And I threw a little out and up to the back of the end zone in Super Bowl 36. And that was John Madden was on the call. And, that was probably one of my favorite touchdowns I've ever thrown in my life.
That's good to know. I'm sure Joe Montana had so many last-minute victories when he was at Notre Dame, but also I can't imagine him thinking of a better play. And from what I understand that play that looked like a high throw to Dwight Clark, but actually that was a play. They had rehearsed it and practiced this endless hours. And so it wasn't like a pass that was overthrown. It was set up to be that way.
So amazingly, I'll tell you, and that happens. That definitely happens. And sometimes you throw balls, and it's funny because yesterday there was a very cool record that I was a part of where we broke a record yesterday for the most passes completed in NFL history. And I threw it to Mike Evans, who Mike's one of the great receivers. Well, I was getting pressured and I knew where Mike was running, but when I was releasing the football, I was throwing the ball basically to the sideline. I had no idea. I mean, I knew where Mike was breaking in the vicinity, but there was no pinpoint accuracy. It's not like in baseball, there's a catcher's mitt. You know what I mean? And I just got to hit the catcher's mitt. The catcher's mitt's 15 yards wide, and I threw the ball up in the air, and I got hit. So I went to the ground, and I was kind of pissed that we didn't have the right blitz pickup. And sure enough, I look up in the crowd because, of course, I'm thinking that was third down and we're off the field. And I hear the crowd go, yeah, and cheer. And I said, we hit that? Holy cow, let's go down to the 2-yard line. So in some ways, as a quarterback, you have those moments where you want to, you throw it to a place where you think only your guy can get it. And I watch it on film now, and I'm kind of like, wow, that looked exactly like we rehearsed it, except it wasn't quite like we rehearsed it. It was pretty amazing. It was a good throw and an amazing catch.
One of the things, I had to look it up to be sure, but I thought that the Niners were kind of fast and furious in handling the ball. And San Francisco had 6 turnovers in that big game.
Wow.
And usually 6 turnovers, you're not going to win.
Six turnovers, you can basically guarantee a loss. We had some pretty cool statistics when I was a part of the Patriots. Belichick he'd recite them a lot. And we had a 95% chance of winning the game if we didn't turn the ball over. So he would always say that, to start the week. Just remember, Brady, 95% chance.
Wow.
If you don't turn it over, we're going to win. Well, I'm saying, well, look, I can't just take a knee and, punt to the other team. We got to actually take a little risk here in order to move the ball down the field and score points. But it's exactly that. It's a tough game, and those turnovers can, those swing a lot of outcomes of a lot of games. You're pretty fortunate when you turn it over to win. And I don't think I've ever been a part of a game and had 6 turnovers and won, unless our defense got 6 of them back.
Vinny, you asked Tom an impossible question. Let me ask you an impossible question. You've had some of the most memorable calls in baseball history. You've done 12,000 Major League Baseball games. Sandy Koufax perfect game. Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's home run record. The World Series in '86 through Buckner's legs. Kirk Gibson winning in '88 for the Dodgers. Don Larson's perfect game in '56 and the catch. Which one ranks first on your list?
I think because of the sheer shock as to what took place, the Gibson home run would be the most electric. Granted, Montana to Clark is a very electric moment, but Gibson, first of all, remember, was not going to play. In fact, we were in commercial in the bottom of the 9th inning, and I said to the director, Harry Coyle, do me a favor, follow me. Harry said, okay. So we came out of commercial, and it showed the blimp looking down at Dodger Stadium. And I remember saying, if you were here with us tonight, the first thing you would do would be look into the Dodger dugout. Wham! Harry's in the dugout, a pan of the camera. There's no Gibson there. So I say, obviously, Kirk Gibson will not make an appearance. Meanwhile, I have no idea where Gibson is. He's sitting in the trainer's room, 2 huge ice bags on both of his legs. He's so beaten up. He answered me, from what I understand, a little bit of a horse, Scully, and it inspired him to get up, tell the bat boy to go down and tell the sorter, I'm coming. And so I'm doing the game now, and they have a runner at second base, the Dodgers do, and all of a sudden, coming out of the Dodger dugout, using a bat as a cane, is Kirk Gibson. And then, without going too much more time about it, he limps to the home plate, and I'm thinking, if he hits the ball on the ground, he can't run, so they've got to get him. So I just hope, that's one of the few times I ever said that to myself, just hope that he doesn't strike out. Well, he gave it some battle, and then he remembered a scout's tip that sure enough, the pitch was going to be a 3-2 slider, and he hit it for a home run. I think all of that, from the moment we looked in the Dodger dugout to the home run was without a doubt the most dramatic, pure theater that I've ever seen in a game.
And you said, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, in the year of the improbable, the impossible has happened. Something to that effect, correct, Vin?
Yes. What happened, if I had a trademark, and remember I mentioned to Tom, when I was 8 years old, I would lay underneath the big radio, and just like water coming out of a shower head, the roar of the crowd just absolutely made me delirious with joy. So ever since I learned to broadcast a little bit, I would call the play, shut up, and let the crowd roar. That was kind of my trademark. And someone once wrote, Scully made his greatest contribution by saying nothing. That was after one of the home runs in the World Series. And I thought, yeah, that's right. I have nothing to say. So up to my last game, when a ball was hit and the crowd reacted, for a brief few seconds, I was 8 years old again under that radio.
Well, the only thing that's been missing from Tom's career is to have had a call from Vin Scully.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vin. What a pleasure.
Oh, Tom, it's my pleasure. God bless. Stay healthy and keep breaking those records. Us old fogies watching on TV love to say it.
I'm an old fogey in my line of work too, and you're certainly not. You could still do it as well as anybody. I promise you that.
Well, and my best to your wife and family. Hope everything is happy as the way you're playing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What do you think's a tougher task, Vinny, to have done the games at 88 years of age, or to be playing football like Tom is at 44?
I think there's no doubt about it. Tom's job, no one ever tried to tackle me, smother me, twist my arm. They just let me blabber, where Tom's got a tough assignment, both mentally and physically. No comparison.
Thank you, Vinny. God bless.
All right, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Tom.
Take care.
Quite an honor, Tom, to have Vin Scully join us. Went into the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Ford Frick Award, back in 1982, and was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama in 2016. He is a living national treasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was also a Giants fan growing up, a San Francisco Giants. So again, Dodgers-Giants rivalry, and hearing his voice, brings back the best memories for me as a kid too. So I grew up watching sports and loving the Giants and the 49ers, and the fact that he was part of that call, but a part of so many Giants games, Giants-Dodgers games, that I just loved growing up. And what a real pleasure to get to see him, talk to him, and what a voice. I mean, it's amazing just to hear him speak.
A poet. He was Shakespeare as a sportscaster, and the best sportscaster this country has ever had. I mean, wow. True greatness. Tom, as we wrap it up, but you got a big announcement tomorrow. You're getting involved with all of these college athletes with their name, image, and likeness. And I know it's an issue that's important to you. And so you've decided to sponsor 10 athletes and put some money in their pocket and try and further their lives and their education as well.
Yeah, it's, amazing how much the world's changed in a short period of time, and with all the college athletics over a period of time, it was really an opportunity, because I remember being a college athlete, and, we went to school and we had some jobs, and I think this is a nice way for these college athletes to earn some money. So having the 10 men represent, our first Brady campaign is very special. It's really a group of kind of driven young men and young athletes at early stages of their career. And I'm just really excited to have been part of it.
And it's through the Brady line, the apparel line, which is coming out here shortly, correct?
Yep, and it's launched in early January. And I think it'll be available for people in January. So really excited to have people get involved. And I think we're going to do some amazing things over the years.
Terrific game yesterday, Tom. We look forward to Sunday night. You'll play the Saints, and we will talk to you next Monday night right here on Let's Go.
Great. It's a championship game for us. You don't have those moments very often. So we're 10-3. We win this game, we win the division. And that's a tough thing to do. And the Bucs haven't done it since 2007. So we got a lot at stake. very motivated to go out there and be our best. So I'm excited for the week of practice, see what we can do. And I know it's going to be a dogfight Sunday night. Hopefully it turns out the way that we want it to.
That's it for this video. I post a new Tom Brady video every day, so please like and subscribe. That way you'll always have a new Tom Brady video to watch every single day.